G'day, welcome to episode 4. Sorry, it's been a while between drinks, but we've been copying some shocking weather this winter. Much more rain than we normally get here in Perth. We actually call this Melbourne weather, where it's just been raining and drizzling, so it made it a bit difficult to do any work on site. But so we've got a big episode for you today. There's a lot of stuff that's happened over the time from the last one, so yeah, enjoy. So all ground floor windows are now in. This is coming around to the kitchen. And we're over to the activity room over there. So how I finally fixed these windows in was get these little 30 by 30 tube, which I then fixed onto there and came through and clipped the window in and then screwed it through. Then I put the little tubes in each of the corners, so that just pulls the window tight back up against the outside. Then a bit of angle, which I'll show you in a sec, slid through the top, and I'll show you on the outside that it's fixed down to the top of the window, siliconed, and then use the filler foam in there to get it watertight. This is the bit of just metal angle that I used in the flashing, 40 by 40. So it just slipped in on top of the window. The 40 is so it's deep enough to reach out and to be fixed down into the top of the window frame. So this is the top of the window. There's that little steel angle that I've slid on the inside then over, then siliconed and pop riveted it down to the top of the window frame. Now, you do need to make sure that you get a good silicone seal here, if you're not putting a roof over it, because the way these containers are designed, the roof's actually got a slight bow in it, so the water does come down here and then it just runs off this edge and trickles down here. So if you don't get a good seal here, all the water lands on here and will go back in. So this seems to work quite fine. We've had a couple of downpours and I'm getting no leaks in it. So this is the outside. So getting those little packers in the corner, you can pull the frame back in so it sits hard up against the sea container. I've actually just elastic that before I put the window in. Now if you come close to the corner and with the corrugations, this here, because on the corner the actual container drops away and it's not in line with the corrugation, so this here sits out a little bit out. So I've just got some black trim, which I will then fix in and pot rivet that back into the window, and that'll just trim that up again, silicone up against the edge. So like I said, once all that's fixed in, then I just come along and use that expander foam up into the top to fill in, just to give it that added protection to make sure that no water's coming down on the inside. So it's well siliconed on the outside and fills with that polyfoam on the inside. So this is what you do with your 86-year-old father, put him to work. This is Curly Pop, he's my labourer. So when I need an extra pair of muscles, he's the guy I call. Yeah, how's it going?
Right?
Good? You cut 2 holes out, Curls. You've got 2 more to go. What are you slacking around for? Good on you. So, difficult task of removing these flooring. What a nightmare. These little screws that they put in, that they fix the flooring down, are absolutely impossible to get out. You cannot get them out. I was hoping to pull this floor out here. This is for my ensuite in one piece, but it just is not coming. So what I've had to do is to set my saw at the depth of the flooring, which is about 25 mils, very, very thick flooring, and then come along and cut along where I want the floor removed, and then cut on a square on either side of these little bolts, and then actually get under here with a crowbar. I've actually found that I've got to cut it up in sections as well, because you'll not be able to pull all of that floor up at once. And come along with a crowbar, ideally 2 of them, but I don't have to, and just lever it up and then slowly break it up and bring it up. But it is very, very difficult. You then got to come back, and once you get the main floor out, the little lugs are sticking up, and grind them up, which I'll show you in a sec. So floor out, and what we've got left now is these little lugs with a bit of timber around them. So now I've got to get rid of the timber and grind them out. So now I'm just waiting for this last container to go on top here. Now when I put this container on here, it was getting very late at night, about 5:30 in the night, and I just didn't bother about getting it set up exactly. So we just dumped it, and what I found out now is that it is definitely out of line. So I've got to actually pull it over there. The string line there is where it should be. Just move it around a little bit. See there, so at one end I've got to pull it out around about 80 mils, and there's the other end I've got to also pull it over about 160 mils. Now the other thing that we have to do is, because this container's not sitting on these corner lugs, it's actually too low. So when I get the other container brought in, I'm going to have to pick this one up to not only move it in position, pick it up and then put an infill square hollow section on top of that container to level it up to the top of those corner lugs. That one there I've got to raise about 65 mils. This one over here, of course this other container is sitting on top of those corner lugs of that container. This one here I've got to raise up about 40 mils. Now howdy, Monday morning, 30th of August, 31st of August, what it is. It's about 7:15, 7:30. Getting the last container moved in now. There's Cody, new dad Cody, because I just had a little girl. Our third grandchild, our first granddaughter, Amelia Marguerite Peters. She is gorgeous. And there's Curly Pop. And Andrew, our 25-ton frame driver, just logging it in, hooking it up so we can move it in. Say hi, Cody.
G'day.
Curly Pop's here again. We haven't killed him yet. And Andrew, our
They're
crane driver.
making me work. They're making me work.
Too early in the morning for you, mate. And we'll get this last baby in. So, last container is in place. Took a little bit of manoeuvring to get in here, but we did it with a 25-ton Franner. Got a little slender support there at the moment. We're just waiting for our steel work to get here in the next week, and there'll be a column going in that corner there. They're not finally positioned, we got them leveled, but I still got to do some adjusting, move this over about an inch, 25 mils, which we can lift them up with a 3-ton hydraulic car jack, and we've got a come along which we hook onto the end and then onto the end of the container and just pull it along. So it's fairly easy. Once that's in position, then the shallow one I've got to actually move back over and butt those two together, and then we'll weld it all up. Should be great. That's the end of episode 4. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out. I'll post again once the steel arrives and we get underway with that. Till then, cheers.